there's really two transactions, as you guys know, one to get the money, one to find the house when you're doing purchase. And so it's kind of amazing in so many parts of the industry, including the consumer direct world, by the way, how disparate those two processes sometimes are. And so what Newzip is kind of that model that those companies all kind of pioneered in a box that any lender can use.
Welcome to Get Real 411, the podcast where real experts give real advice on all things real estate. I'm Jamie.
And I'm Brad.
Join us as we explore real estate successes and pitfalls through the eyes of our esteemed guests.
Now let's get real. Today we are lucky enough to welcome Brock Cassidy to our show. You guys are really going to love this. Brock and I have known each other for several years now. We connected through a separate business and just kind of hit it off. There's a lot of things that Brock's doing on the periphery of real estate and mortgage and that sort of thing. And so we had a lot in common, a lot to talk about at both the previous company he was at and the current company. We're going to talk a lot about that. But Brock is with a company called Newzip, and you guys are going to learn some things that are going to be really interesting about building your business moving forward if you're in the mortgage business. All right. Well, welcome, Brock.
Hey, Brock. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, so what I'd like to start with is give us a little bit of your background and then kind of the companies that you've worked at, because they're companies that most people would recognize. And then tell us a bit about Newzip and what you're doing there.
Yeah, sure. So kind of the majority of my career in the mortgage space was spent, with Rocket Mortgage and really helping Rocket build their real estate counterpart, Rocket Homes. And so I spent about 7 or 8 years there, starting around 2014. And then I spent a couple of years running a lot of the lender partnerships and some of the broker partnerships for kind of an alternative mortgage products company called EasyKnock. And then just in the past year or so, I moved over to be the chief revenue officer at Newzip.
Yeah, and so you and I met with when you were with EasyKnock.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. And EasyKnock is still around. You're not there, but they're still around. They're still doing business. They're one of those prop tech companies that's grown up over the last few years and has really kind of picked a niche that has remained relevant and actually involves mortgage loan originators, right? And so it was kind of for me to see you move from there to where you are today with Newzip, which we'll get into, made sense. But we did business with you at EasyKnock. And maybe you can just tell us briefly about that and that business model, because I think that is a nice tie-in to what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, EasyKnock's still around, doing great. They've actually been acquiring a few other companies in the space over the last few months. So it seems like all signs are pretty positive there, especially given this market. So what EasyKnock did was they took a few different kind of concepts from other parts of the financial world and tried to bring them, and had succeeded in a lot of it, in bringing them to residential real estate. The biggest one being the concept of a sale leaseback. It's really common with other types of assets, commercial real estate, things like that, where a current owner can access their equity and get some flexibility by becoming the renter of the property that they previously owned, with a locked-in option to buy that property back in the future at a certain set of terms. So for EasyKnock, what that meant is it's really an alternative to a cash-out refi or a HELOC, although obviously a non-mortgage product. And so that's kind of where my part of the story at EasyKnock kind of worked, is I helped us launch several of our first lender partnerships. There's some kind of large flagship ones, like with New American Funding on the consumer direct side. And then there are many within AIM and within the broker community, and a lot that are somewhere in between. So it was fun to, especially after having spent so much of my career at Rocket, to have explored so many different channels of the industry.
Yeah, and that's true. And I think Jamie probably could have something to say along those lines, because as you know, and you've learned from the time spent outside kind of that Rocket bubble, what you've learned about the rest of the industry isn't necessarily what you were taught there, right? You were kind of kept into in that bubble. And
Yeah,
so
it's a whole different world when when there's the marketing machine and the brand machine that Rocket has across all 50 states. So it was a great place to learn, but yeah, a lot of the lessons had to be relearned as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the wholesale community at large is incredibly connected, incredibly powerful, and really unique because you're dealing with tens of thousands of essentially small business owners, right? You're not dealing with one large machine. You're dealing with tens of thousands of smaller companies. And so when you plug into the wholesale community, you're plugging into an audience that has so much potential if educated on what you're doing at Newzip and how it can directly benefit them as loan originators, that I think that it was a really good move to expand your horizons a bit and to make that connection.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Both at EasyKnock and even more so now at Newzip, where we can partner with a lot of different types of originators. I love being in the broker community. I think it's a lot of early adopters. It's a lot of people that care really intensely about their clients and want to find the best solution for them. Period. Not just the best solution for them that that might be obvious. And so when you're selling something a little bit new or a little bit different, it's actually really great to be in the wholesale world.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about Newzip. So tell us what is Newzip?
Yeah, so Newzip takes a concept that's been around for a while, and to some extent I helped build at Rocket to kind of the rest of the industry in a lot of ways. So the biggest consumer direct shops, Rocket, of course, but also Loan Depot and AmeriSave and New American Funding and Better Mortgage and several others have all over the years created different versions of their own in-house real estate or preferred real estate partner, and plenty of retail lenders as well. But those are kind of the most extreme because they are all under one roof, under one machine. So that way that works is that they, acquire a lead once and turn it into a few different opportunities. And in most cases, all those opportunities, the real estate side, the mortgage side, sometimes the title side, sometimes the insurance side, sometimes the personal loan side, all these different things can be monetized multiple ways. And really a lot of times they all convert better when there's kind of a holistic picture of a client and all their needs that can be looked at once. So, the most important part of that, in my mind, and I think in the minds of most homeowners is marrying up the mortgage and the real estate. There's really two transactions, as you guys know, one to get the money, one to find the house, when you're doing purchase. And so it's kind of amazing in so many parts of the industry, including the consumer direct world, by the way, how disparate those two processes sometimes are. And so what Newzip is kind of that model that those companies all kind of pioneered in a box that any lender can use. So we've invested in this tech platform that we can scale up to any size lender down to any size, single person brokerage, and give them that advantage of having, not only a trusted real estate partner, but also a lot of ways to give money back to clients at the closing table if they use the preferred partner.
Yeah, so I'm going to break this down a little bit easier for people to understand because having been participatory in using your service from both my mortgage company, mine and Jamie's mortgage company, and my tech platform, HomePie, I will tell you that there's some huge advantages here. And here's how I see it apply. If you're a loan originator, you've kind of got your box or geographic area that you work in. And you know people that are doing business there. You know real estate agents that are doing business. You're building relationships. You're going to open houses. You're getting referrals. You're giving referrals. And that's great. But when you have somebody that you know that is now moving outside of that periphery, and they're even in state or out of state or moving across states, you kind of leave the loan you're doing for that borrower at risk of them finding a real estate agent that then meets with them and has this one-on-one relationship and ultimately has this relationship with another originator, and you can lose that deal. And it's not because you did a bad job. It's just because that personal one-on-one relationship that happens in person creates a bond that's really strong and gives the real estate agents leverage. That's why a lot of the business that gets referred by real estate agents is just a lot more sticky, right? Hey, I want you to use my guy. I want you to use my gal. They're great. They're going to take care of you. And then people don't question it. They just do it. So if you're going to leave your business at risk, you're going to chance losing a good percentage of it. What Newzip has done is said, okay, we've got a network of 30,000 agents in the nation across all 50 states, and they are bound by these rules and guidelines that state if they're given a referral through our system, through our broker partners, through our originators, they must reinforce that relationship and can't take it somewhere else. So that number one is very powerful. But here's the other part. The other part is that you can meet agents outside your area through this network, build a relationship with them, and they get additional referral sources.
And I think that this is incredibly timely right now in our industry, because what we have seen as refinances have shrunk and the opportunity for loans is a little bit harder to come by due to the condition of rates, a lot of originators and brokers have made the decision to expand their geographic footprint, to get licensed in other states. And for a small company who has traditionally received their referrals from local members of their community and other professionals, it's like uncharted territory for them. So in addition to the very, very real benefit of if you get a buyer and you use that agent, you have some level of protection in not being shopped by that agent and sending the borrower there. But also, to Brad's point, you are getting a foothold in a different area than you have been traditionally in. And I have interviewed numerous top producing real estate professionals across the nation at numerous industry events on panels. And the thing that I hear consistently when I ask them, what would be the top 2 or 3 reasons that you would choose to work with a specific loan officer? One of the answers that is always in the top 3 is, I want reciprocity. I want to not just send my originator buyers. I want them to keep me in mind when a buyer comes up in an area that I work with, and I want to know that that relationship is a two-way street.
Yeah,
you're gonna love our newest feature since even I last met with you. Then the newest kind of release that we did on our platform, we call it Manage My Agents, but it's for a loan officer or a broker to go into our platform, see all the agents they've ever worked with, all the agents we've ever matched them with, and how they all converted. And we're adding in more and more to see what you got back from them, who else they worked with, all that kind of data to see if they're really a good referral partner, or if you should keep hunting for the next referral partner. And so that's something we're investing pretty heavily in, and I think will be a pretty big differentiator for us to go even further down the track you were saying of creating the next level of referral partnerships in addition to just converting what you have better.
Well, I mean, I nerd out on hearing that you're pulling in the data to see who else they're using. I mean, we do that on a manual basis at AmeriFund, but it would be incredible to have like a dashboard environment or a system where we could create that tracking mechanism and have a little bit of an inside track on, hey, if it's not us, who is it? And why is it? And is there a trend? And what can we do to recapture or rebuild that relationship? And who else do we need to hit up because this particular relationship perhaps is not bearing the fruit that we would like it to? So, I mean, I could see a world in which that in and of itself just becomes a natural part of every originator's day, where they're in the system and they're working their database of potential real estate partners to make sure that they're top of mind for all these individuals.
Yeah, that's a huge part of where we're going, because we don't want to only serve the groups that are buying all their own leads and doing all self-generated deals. We want to also be able to do everything you're talking about. But I wanted to give one example on something creative we've seen some of the local groups do that was kind of on the track of what you guys were saying, where in their local community, they're generating deals from whether it's a trade group or PTA or something like that. One of the things we allow is for you to kind of using the Newzip messaging of receiving the cash rewards at the closing table if you use that loan officer's preferred real estate partner. We've seen different people and even at a marathon, we've seen different people kind of skin it to their message where it's, get a VA loan with me. And in addition to the VA loan, here's another way to get further cash back that will do X, Y, and Z for you. And, we can't always control 100% of that message, but we want to put it in the hands of the LOs who know that client better and who know that situation better. Another one was, someone did it for a local agent. A local loan officer did it where just for her daughter's company as a company benefit by working there, that she created these different flyers and these different events and things that were related to, how she now has this preferred real estate program that'll save you,
that's a good point.
On the $500,000 house, $2,500, right? $2,500.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The way to market that, and I'm sure you guys are going to think about ways where you can share marketing ideas, but marketing that as a benefit of working with you as an originator is you get access to this cash back. That, we don't want to forget about that. That is a big part of the program. 42 out of 50 states allow rebates to buyers. And so if you're in one of those, and all you have to do is go to the Newzip site and they tell you which states they are. But if you're in one of those states, your borrower can get, it's 1% back, right? 1%.
On the buy side, they get 0.5% back. And then on the sell side, it's a discounted.
That's right. Yep. That's right. 0.5% back on the buy side. But if they list the property, which is another opportunity, right? Loan officers, they speak with somebody. Yes, I'm going to sell my home. Do you have an agent yet? No. Oh, you're in an area I don't actually know somebody. Let me refer you to somebody. The benefit of 1% less on the sell side.
Yeah, so you can go as high as 1.5%, 1% on the sell side and 0.5% on the buy side. So, there's a lot of ways to get creative with it. And on the buy side, that money's available at the closing table. So you can even market it that you can offer rate buy downs to people that use, the preferred real estate partner or pay their mortgage insurance or what have you. So we've seen, one good thing about a market like this is people get really creative.
I was just about to say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And if I've learned anything from paying attention to what's going on in my community of brokers, it is that the folks who are weathering this storm are the ones who got creative, who started thinking outside the box, who did it early, who began to deploy multiple different potentials for business and didn't just put all of their eggs in one basket. So I'm really glad to hear that Newzip is getting out there in front of these folks and educating them on what's possible, because this is a tool that all of the loan officers in today's market are going to want in their arsenal. And it's the kind of thing that once you get some momentum with, is going to turn into a regular source of business for you that'll carry you through this market cycle and right on into the next one.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are products. Look, I think what's unique about what you're doing, Brock, and the fact that you kind of understand the dynamic here and have really jumped in with both feet and learned about the broker community, is other products may connect you. The data's out there where you can learn about real estate agents, the business they're doing, who they're doing it with, title company they're using, other loan officers. Like, the data's there. Most loan officers don't access that data. They don't subscribe to the services that give that data. So putting that in one place where they could use that for a prospecting tool is pretty awesome. I love what you're doing with that. But it's, as Jamie said, it's something different that nobody else is doing. Like, I don't know anybody else doing this quite like Newzip.
Nope.
And you have these other products that may connect you with agents, may allow you to give them open house flyers and other things to earn their business. But the reality is, by building that reciprocal relationship, that's what really anchors you. That relationship anchors you. So I'll give you just a personal example. We've been using the system and getting, loading in leads and that sort of thing. And the communication's amazing. You get to see all their notes, right? So your team puts their notes in there. They say what agent's been assigned to. Like, the transparency is pretty awesome. The status of it. But I had a personal friend who's moving out of state. Actually, not moving. Sorry, he's buying a property out of state, where his daughter goes to college. He's like, I can do the loan. Of course, we're licensed out of state, but I don't know an agent. Put him right into the Newzip. Gets the call. He's going out there for Parents' Weekend. They're going to show him around. Like, it just worked very quickly. And that's something that's not easy to do on your own. Without a system like this, you got to Google them, read their reviews. Then you still stand the chance of them taking them and saying, hey, if you want to get this property right now, I got to get a pre-approval letter from my guy. And then you stand losing them, like if you don't have a really strong relationship. So kudos to you and what you're doing over there. I think you're building a really great product.
Yeah, I love that example. I was tracking that one the other day and found it super interesting that came through your portal. But yeah, I think the one other thing I want to say before we move to any of the other topics, Brad and Jamie, is there are other platforms that do, I guess it's called agent matching, or that have an agent network. But we are built 100% to be B2B. We are really an extension of the lender, of the broker, of the originator. We work with credit unions too, so of the credit union. And so we, all the other kind of groups that maybe you would see as a competitor to us all have some kind of other dog in the fight, where they're trying to build their own brand, where they're trying to drive you to their own website. They're trying to use their own call scripts to sell you other stuff. Ours is, with most of our partners, we have co-branded landing pages. We have co-branded, names we answer the phone with. It's all about getting, in your case, the AmeriFund, real estate concierge or that kind of a scripting out there. At the end of the day, for compliance reasons, they'll know that Newzip is related to the transaction, but, as a player for you, not as a player for ourselves. And so that's where we really differentiated and built 100% of our tech around integrating with the lending ecosystem.
Great point. Really great point. So why don't we dovetail into, Brock told us before this call that he's going to be going to an event that we're attending.
Yes, I'm very excited to hear that you're going to be coming to AIM Fuse 6, which is coming up the first weekend in October. And I will be there, of course, with the entire AIM team, as well as several thousand brokers from around the country and lots of our partners and lots of our potential partners like Newzip. Brock, is this going to be your very first Fuse?
This will be my very first Fuse. Yeah. When last year, someone on my team, my last company went and had incredibly good things to say. We kind of were doing a tour of a bunch of different events, and this one came out with extraordinarily high ranks. So I knew I was going to go no matter what. If I had stayed at the last company, and when I got to Newzip, I immediately, as Brad can attest, started talking about the broker community. So I'm excited to be going, and it is my first time.
Oh, I can't wait to introduce you around to everybody. It's just it's a community unlike any other. Brad and I, we've been in the business for a minute, and we've gone to all of the industry conferences over the years, and there is a very distinctly different feel to AIM events, and it's one of an abundance mentality, a welcoming with open arms, how can we help each other, a celebration of the fact that all of us have been in the struggle, and today, right now, is the struggle. We've also been through all of the highs and all of the lows, and we've leaned in to the community together. We've celebrated those highs, and we've commiserated and supported one another through those lows, and through it all, the wholesale community is something that is truly unlike anything else, I think, in our industry.
Yeah, we're gonna have a special offer for. I was talking to some of the team about this, where we're gonna waive all the setup fees. So anyone from AIM that wants to test us, we'll integrate to their systems, and anyone I meet at the event or otherwise through AIM is gonna get to see how it works without having to go through kind of as much process as our normal client would.
Love it.
Nice perk. Mm-hmm. Hey, I don't know if you caught this, Brock, but Jamie said she was going to personally introduce you around. Now, I'm going to say, first of all, she's like the mayor, so she knows everybody, and everybody knows her. That. But good luck getting some time with her.
Sorry, Brad. last year, even Brad couldn't.
I think I saw her like twice in 3 days. So, but make sure you hook up, because she'll definitely make the intros. It'll make a difference for you. And if you guys are listening to this and it's already happened, Fuse has already happened, We'll have Brock's information down below our post here, and just reach out to him directly. He's super approachable, and he'd be happy to help.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a question you want to ask Brock?
Are we there?
Sure.
Okay. Brock, we've talked a lot about business, and we've talked about a little bit about your journey, where you started with Rocket and how you evolved outside of, the sphere of that large company and into an atmosphere that exposed you to so many different businesses and business owners. I'm sure you've learned a lot throughout this experience. And so the question we always ask our guests on Get Real 411 is this: if you could sit down with your younger self, knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give him?
Man, there's so much there. I think, it's tricky because you don't want to change anything that happened, because there, a lot of the good and a lot of the bad have both led to lessons. But, I think it was just really easy starting starting in the industry where I was coming from sort of like an academic and quantitative background, going into a huge place like Rocket, into an analytical role. Kind of first was where I started doing data stuff for them, helping them, build their systems and stuff like that. So before I ever got into the business side of this industry, I was over there. I just would say sprint as fast as possible to learn about the rest of the industry, sprint as fast as possible to learn as much as you can about how the real estate transaction actually works. And in general, just understanding the inner workings of everything around you. And, it's easy to sit in an ivory tower and think you know everything, especially when you're young or when you're new or when you think you're really smart, and you're usually wrong. You're probably always wrong in that case. And so I think that's the biggest advice I would give. But I think I've gotten a little better at that.
Good advice.
Very good. I love it. Brock, thank you for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you in Vegas in a few weeks. It's going to be fun on top of all the things that you're going to be doing, meeting people. So make the most of it, and we'll help you as well. And, continue to do what you're doing. You're doing some really great things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks
Spread
for
the word.
having me.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate both the partnership from you guys and having me on here. So excited.
Yeah. Always great to connect.
Awesome.
Get Real 411 is hosted by Brad Rice and Jamie Cavanaugh, produced by Stuart Jellin, and recorded live from the AmeriFund Home Loan Studio in Simi Valley, California. You can learn more about the show at getreal411.com and watch full episodes on YouTube. If you're interested in being a guest on Get Real 411, email booking@getreal411.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.